Netterton, but it wasn't to be. Leading at the start of lap 2, he swapped places with Andy Purvis, only to be rammed from behind by the Marcus at Sia. The Lister was still drivable, but it forced him into the pits and into retirement. The Viper then looked set for a maiden victory until it got stuck in 4th gear, leaving Tim Harvey unable to resist Kooroyzer. Callum Lockie's teammates took the lead 3 laps from the end. In GTO, the TVR of Rob Barth and Martin Short led early on, but retired from 2nd near the end, leaving Terra and Jeff Lister to take the win unchallenged. So in the GTs, Dave Warnock's lead over Callum Lockie is cut to just 4 with 30 left to play for, and Kooroyzer takes over in 3rd. In GTO, 2 rows in a win put Jeff Terry Reimer into 3rd and 4th ahead of their teammates Fuller and Fothergill. Tiffany Dell in the 2nd Lister. The Lotus on the left-hand side, the Marcus. They're coming down the hill, out of the hairpin at La Source, waiting for the green lights. Dave Warnock on the left, Callum Lockie on the right. They're both starting their respective cars. Very bunched field, long hold for the green. And finally it's go. Warnock gets the start that he needed. Callum Lockie again cautious as ever into the first turn. Through goes the Lotus. The Lister in white is up to 4th place. And we ride with him now. Tiffany Dell driving. Callum Lockie goes left as Needell gets a great run out of Eau Rouge up the hill. The 7-litre V12 hauling the Lister at great speed. He'll pass him, no question about it, as Chris Ellis moves out onto the outside line. It'll be Lister's 1st and 2nd into Les Combes, Lotus 3rd, Callum Lockie in 4th place. And Dave Warnock's really got the lead he needs. Callum Lockie down to 4th, the TVR Speed 12 in 5th place. There is Ian McKellar Jr. and the NCK Marcus in 6th spot. Now here we are in the GTO battle. Rob Barth right behind a GT2 Porsche. That's one of the PK machines. That's Robert Babican in the GT class. And down the hill they stream now. The TVR Speed 12 looking to make a move on Callum Lockie just ahead of this battle. Rob Barth, the leader in GTO, still piling on the speed as they plunge down into the valley floor. The cars really accelerate much quicker down from Les Combes. And there is Terry Reimer. He goes past to take the lead of the class. And he's right behind Robert Babican there, the 2 yellow Porsches, GT and GTO class cars. And you can see the green TVR right behind. Well, the Lister's starting to stretch their legs out front. The Lotus seems to be the cork in the GT bottle. Callum Lockie really under threat there for Ian McKellar Jr. McKellar trying to find a way to get alongside. It won't happen there through Piff Paff, but maybe on the long high-speed run back up to the start-finish, he'll be able to do something with that TVR's muscle engine. Riding on board with Callum Lockie then. This is absolutely flat out all the way, and there goes the Speed 12. Callum Lockie drops down to 5th place now. Bad news for him. Good news, though, for Dave Warnock. But Lockie's made a real habit this year of being very cautious on the first lap, trying to avoid getting tangled with anybody. Now, look, Ian McKellar Jr. trying to pick up a place from the Lotus to go 3rd. Doesn't manage to do it. So the Lotus stays out front in that little group. Then the NCK Marcus brings up the tail of the field in a packed GTO class. Well, Dave Warnock ahead of Tiffany Dell as Ian McKellar Jr. gets a good run out of the bus stop. Callum Lockie wide around the outside. He's trying desperately to find some space. He does want to avoid getting caught in the middle of those two, but he's got another Marcus right behind. That's the Andy Purvis car, and he would like to avoid going behind that if he possibly can. Well, here are some of the 43 cars in this monster field, swollen by nearly a dozen entries from the Dutch Marcus Mantis Challenge. These guys know the circuit, know each other very well, some great racing. Callum Lockie now starting to get back into gear, goes past the Lotus at Les Combes. Andy Purvis trying to go with him. They'll be wheel to wheel under braking, but the Lotus keeps its nose in front. So Lockie now settling into the race, starting to pick up his pace again and trying to close on Dave Warnock out front. And there is Warnock as we ride with Tiffany Dell, looking down the inside to Fania. Now he won't want to touch Warnock and knock him off the track. Much more professional than that. Here is Dave Warnock, hard at work. Now, it doesn't actually matter if Tiffany Dell gets by because he won't take any points away. So it might be better for Dave Warnock if Tiffany Dell really is pressing just to let the white car go. And no sign of that yet. Dave Warnock will want to win this championship from the front. Oh, and a spinner. This is the Curtis Hales GTO Viper. Rob Barth now chasing Terry Reimer. This is through Piff Paff. Andy Purvis ahead, spins across the track. Purvis losing the tail end of the number 8 Marcus. Well, he'll have to wait for the monster field to go by. And oh, there's a gap, and the Ultima just manages to squeeze by. down the Formula One starting grid, out of the bus stop now, down to the La Source hairpin. You were riding there with Tiffany Dell, and there he is. Headlamps ablaze. Oh, and more spinners. That's Andy Purvis again. He's been hit by somebody. And it's one of the Marcus Mantises. Yellow flags are out, and this may well bring out the safety car as well to move the damaged machinery. Well, let's see what's down there. Marco Attard avoids him, but look at that. Toon van der Hattard gets out of control trying to slow down and spins, ironically, into the stationary car. Mike Jordan in the pits, contemplating a change of strategy now. Only 10 minutes into the race, they can't stop for another 10, so they may make it a very long first stint. Lights out on the safety car, ready to go green again, and Tiffany Dell is in front of Dave Warnock. He was passing at roughly the same time that Andy Purvis spun, so he leads the race, but Purvis's mistake has cost Dave Warnock a 6-second lead. Rob Bath, 7th overall, second in GTA behind Terry Reimer. They've got the green light, and look at that, the TVR Speed 12 coming around the outside into Eau Rouge. Ian McKellar Jr. takes second place, and that is points taken away from Dave Warnock. Now Warnock is officially second in the points, and Callum Lockie in third place in points from this race, and that means that he is now right where he needs to be, on the tail of Warnock. The gap between them is so slight that that is exactly where he needed to be, not allowing Warnock to get away, and Callum right up to race pace. The Lotus next up, then the GTO battle, but it's Tiffany Dell heading off from the Ian McKellar, first and second. Dave Warnock down to third, Jamie Campbell-Walter getting confirmation, hand signals on the pit wall there, third place. Frederick Sundberg, Jonathan Baker, Mark Sumter. Oh, the GTO champion loses control of the Paragon Porsche, nearly hitting Andy Purvis's damaged car. I wonder if he'll be able to get out of the gravel traps. It looks like he will. Well, that's a good recovery. This is Adrian Slater, Mike Jordan's second car. There's his teammate, rattling gravel all over the track. Sumter across his bows. He stays behind him, though. That's good team driving. Allow Mark Sumter a chance to recover, and Callum Lockie, first man into the pits, just into the 20-minute margin, only 8 laps into the race. Now Rob Garth, second in GTO, comes down in the TVR Speed 6. He was 7 seconds down on Terry Reimer when he came in. Koreuser in the car already, waiting for it to be ready to go, and edges the car out very slowly. Got a good steep downhill run to help you. Martin Short also in, very eager to go, isn't he? Off he goes. Well, good changes for both of them. Tiffany Dell leading the race at Piff Paff. Oh, and gravel there. And off he goes into more gravel, and that will make the corner even tougher. He recovers without losing the race lead. Dave Warnock in the pits. Now this is going to be vital. Off comes the Dayglow orange patch. Out gets Warnock. In gets Jamie Campbell-Walter. Nice and early in the race. And the co-driver's taking over for a real battle to the flag. Away he goes. Smart change. Very good indeed. Just 11 seconds at stationary. Well, where will that leave him? All the pit stops have to happen before that gets settled out. Ian Astley leaves in the Lotus. They just moved up to fourth ahead of Callum Lockie. And here is Mark Sumter talking to the crew, passing on a message to Mike Jordan via the radio. You can't really give over any information in these quick pit stops. Jeff Lister, this is the GTO lead car, or was when it came in. Terry Reimer had a great run to start their race. Now, where will Martin Short be? Well, Martin Short running strongly in the TVR Speed 6, behind a slower Mantis Challenge car. Now on this long, fast section through Blanchimont, they come onto what used to be the public road part of the old 8 3/4 mile track. And don't forget, Formula One cars were doing 160 miles an hour here back in the 60s. Pretty exciting stuff.
Well, Spa, as usual, is full of excitement. The last remaining Par Viper is now coming to the pits for its stop. It's a good time for us to take a break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes in GT on 4. On the 11th round of the Privilege Insurance British GT Championship. We'll go back to join Martin for the finish.
Tiffany Dell and Ian McKellar, first and second on the road. 2 seconds apart in the Lister and the TVR Speed 12. Both of them need to stop still. 40 seconds ahead of Jamie Campbell-Walter, and they both come into the pits together. Jamie Campbell-Walter will now maybe take over the race lead. Riding with Martin Short, chasing Jeff Lister for the lead in GTO. The Porsche was 7 seconds ahead before the pit stops. Short gets a great tow up the straight. He'll go into the lead in the class, but they won't be counting their chickens. They've led the races several times, only to retire with engine problems. Jamie Campbell-Walter rounds La Source. There is the other Lister in the pits, and he may have to squeeze it to get out quickly. He does so. And down the hill comes Campbell-Walter. goes into second. The TVR Speed 12 will be in third place when he rejoins the track. So Jamie Campbell-Walter brings the lead Lister up into the main points gathering position. Kohreuser is in fourth place. Ahead of him, Sundberg in the Swedish Porsche. No longer he howls up the hill. Jamie Campbell-Walter at Les Combes. Second in the race, Dave Clark leads. He's taken over a very well-placed car from Tiffany Dell.
Did have a slight off at one of the fifth paps, but the first few laps it was brilliant. The pace cars rather made it a bit harder, but so a 1-2 was going to be close.
Close indeed. Dave Clark pulls around the inside at the fifth path to allow Jamie Campbell-Walter to go through. Somebody's been off up ahead. Lots of gravel on the road as well as dust in the air. Well, Jamie Campbell-Walter leads. Now let's catch up with Kohreuser's teammate Callum Lockie.
This is Core's favourite circuit. He's just done a 24-hour race a few weeks ago here, so he's well tuned into it. And I think, you know, an even score can have it, but there's a long way to go, as ever.
Long way to go, but for Bobby Verden-Rowe, maybe not that far in third place, because Kohreuser again has got a stunning run out of Eau Rouge. He's almost running into the back of the TVR Speed 12, using the toe to slow down the TVR and speed up the Marcus. He's on the inside line, and Bobby won't come back from there. Kohreuser squeezes through. Bobby gave him no extra racing room. That's now second place in points for the Marcus. And what's this? Jamie Campbell-Walter cruising. No safety car, no yellow flags. He's running very slowly indeed, and no sign of Dave Clark. Here is Dave Clark catching him and flying by. Campbell-Walter is in big trouble, and that is dreadful news as Dave Clark leads the race in the Brookspeed Lister for Dave Warnock, because his teammate out in the car is stranded on the circuit, running very slowly indeed. Here comes Kohreuser. He was 5 seconds behind at the last split, but it looks as though he's going to catch him, and news coming in on the radio is bad.
Some sort of engine problem.
Is he out completely? There's no chance of him regaining.
Lawrence Pierce absolutely distraught. So too will Dave Warnock be as Jamie Campbell-Walter pulls off in a cloud of smoke. And there is Warnock. He just can't bear it. Bad luck indeed. Into the bus stop, Kohreuser secure in second place, well ahead of the TVR. About 9 seconds, in fact, ahead of the TVR. Here comes the Speed 12. Under pressure from the Lotus, and a big broadside slide as Verden-Rowe locks the brakes into the bus stop. Well, Ian Astley in the Lotus is right on his tail and really piling on the pressure. Out of La Source, down the hill with Kohreuser. He'll be looking for the pit board on the right-hand side to find out what the deal is. 6 minutes to go, second place, plus 15 on the car behind, minus 11 on the car in front of him. Well, here is the car behind it. It's still the TVR, but I wonder for how long. Has Verden-Rowe got a brake trouble? Certainly the Lotus, as the fuel load has lightened, has really closed in on the back of the Speed 12. Maybe now up the hill he's got a chance. Almost close enough to get into the tow. Here come the lights of the TVR Speed 12. Will the Lotus be enough? No, it won't be close enough at all. Couldn't pick up a tow there. The huge horsepower of the Speed 12 engine keeps Bobby Verden-Rowe in front for the moment at least. But Ian Astley is really tigering the Lotus through these nimble bits. It loses out in horsepower, but it makes up in handling. Here comes the race leader, Dave Clark's white Lister, just about to lap Charlie Cox in the car he shares with Jonathan Baker. That's one of the GTO Porsches. He's a long way out front. Callum Lockie in second place, and the battle for third. The Lotus has got ahead in the twisty stuff. The TVR down to fourth. Third on the road, second in the points now for the Lotus. But the TVR will drop further down because the stewards had just looked at this incident earlier in the race when the TVR was right behind Kohreuser. Now notice it's no longer behind it. Bobby Verden-Rowe went straight through the runoff road here, didn't stop at a special set of traffic lights and rejoined. He'll lose a lap because of that. Well, there is Terry Reimer watching proceedings in the GTO class. They're second at the moment. Martin Short still leading in the GTO Speed 6 TVR. But with everything crossed, I'm sure. The Porsche in second place, that's Jeff Lister. And don't forget that the TVR has led this class in the last 3 outings, only for the car to fail. And Martin Short will be taking it very easy, going as slow as he can around this 4.5 mile Spa circuit to try and nurse the car through. But now time has run out for the opposition. The white Lister coming up to La Source for the final time after a nearly faultless run. With Tiff Needell and Dave Clark, the checkered flag awaits. The new driver and car combination will take a maiden win. Checkered flag for the Brookspeed car, but it should have been the Works Lister. Second place, Koroyzer coming through the bus stop just ahead of the Lotus. Ian Astley really flying in the closing stages. Other cars all over the grass as they come to the end of the race as well. But Koroyzer will hold on to this one at La Source. Ian Astley really has no chance now in the short run down to the checkered flag. Second and maximum points will be for the Marcus of Oyzer and Lockie. Third for Astley and Ellis. And the GTO class battle will also go to the line. Martin Short holding on. A huge look-up there for Jeff Lister. He shortcuts the chicane as well. And although he didn't pick up a place, he may be penalised later. So, finally making it through to the end of the race in the class lead. This is a maiden win as well in GTO for the TVR Speed 6. All Martin Short and his team's hard work finally rewarded on perhaps the greatest racetrack in the world. Well, it's been a long, hard development season for Martin Short and his team. And now, having tasted the lows, they taste the highest of the highs. Lister beats the Marcus on the road then. Lockie and Oyzer take maximum points, though Astley and Ellis second for the 5th time this season. And in GTO, a popular first victory for the TVR pair ahead of Reimer and Lister. Sumter and Jordan third ahead of Adam Simmons and Stephen Watson in their Porsche. In the GTs, Callum Lockie also a happy chappy, an 11-point lead over Dave Warnock. Oyzer third, 8 points ahead of Astley and Ellis. And in the GTOs, the Paragon team lead the PK team. Adam Simmons takes over 5th. Fuller and Fothergill were absent.